everybody. This is the Global Party 2017, Healing from the Inside Out. And I have the lovely Ray Luskin with us from Chicago, United States, Illinois. And we are going to be talking about the healed heart with a capital A-R-T for the art part, because it's all about healing your heart with art.
Yep.
Welcome.
Welcome. I'm so happy. I mean, you have just been a dynamo, going. It's like your energy is amazing, and I hope I can keep up with you today. So,
well, it's the only time, I don't know. It was when I was talking with Abdul. I don't know if it was the energies between Costa Rica or whatever, but it was like discernible where I just started to feel like I had to move through the hips, and I was yawning, and I had to say to everybody, like, it's not that I'm not listening to him. It's just that something was moving through my body as I was talking to him. It was quite interesting.
Wow. Okay.
So your song that I'm going to play for everybody that brings you joy is
The Beauty in Me by Karen Drucker.
Here we go.
I see the joy that's in you. I see your light shining through. I see the love that's in you. So it
is.
I can see it. It's right there before
me.
I can feel it deep in my soul. I just know it. That you are an angel full of magic and power and pure sweet love. I see the grace that's in you. I see the courage in you. I see the heart that's in you. And so it
is. I have never had such a big audience for singing.
I see the power in you. I see the greatness in you. And so it is.
And so it is.
Yeah.
And it is.
I love that I can sing on this live broadcast, because singing is not necessarily my art, but I get great joy out of it. And so if you can find songs you could sing around with and just let go, do it, because it changes your energy. And I'm diving in. I'm sorry. It was just, I had to say that because I was one of those people they asked not to sing in choir, mouth the words. And it's such out of me, you know. And so it's like, how do you find that? And it's through art, just like we're going to talk about. So go ahead.
No, I mean, just take it away. That just is it, is expression, and how we have been so contained over our lifetime to curtail what feels that it's just wanting to come out of us and express our uniqueness. And that's the whole process that you learn to heal through art. And so many people are going, I never thought about it that way.
Right. Yeah, it is an amazing process, and it's something everybody can do. You know, now, and that's what's wonderful, because it is finding out what makes you happy, you know, and it can be a box of crayons, and you never have to show it to another soul. You can scribble your heart away. So there's so many ways. You can get up and sing. You can dance in front of the mirror, and nobody has to see you, or you can share it with other people. But that just changes your energy, you know, just totally. So, you know, one of the activities years ago that Tony Robbins had, he'd have people stand up there, throw their shoulders back and smile, you know. It's like, yeah, this is what can you do for yourself? So, you know, you can get up and just move, you know, find some music that makes your heart just go, wow. And, you know, I just a quick aside. This is, you know, we're going to be spontaneous today. This is not necessarily what I talked about on the pre-recorded, but I have to tell you that, you know, when I was, you know, a kid, and then they told me not to sing anymore, and I was like devastated, because at that point, up until then, I was going to be, I was singing, and my grandmother was going to give me singing lessons, and then I had my tonsils out, and it's like I lost my voice. You know, there were other reasons I probably lost my voice as well, but that was the one. And so when I stopped singing, there came a point, I went to a conference, and I said, you know what, I need to change this. And I said, because in my mind, I believe in like being in other lives and past lives, and I always sultry singer, Nina Simone, you know, Billie Holiday, and so I started to sing The itsy bitsy spider went up the water spout. And everybody started to crack up and laugh, but it felt so good.
Yeah.
And so when I do a lot of presentations, I have people get up and sing. Now, we may sing and dance at the same time. So a lot of times, depending on the group, we'll sing happy birthday because I feel everybody can join in on that. But I get them up moving, and we do the hokey pokey. So you put your right arm in, you put your right arm out. Yeah. And we're moving and we're singing. And the energy in the room just shifts. You can't help it. And so that's one of the little things that you can do for yourself. So when you're feeling sort of down and low, just crank up the music and move. Sing along.
And I think there's this new, Rebecca's going to be talking more about, music later on in using it as a spiritual tool, is that we're awakening on so many different levels, right? But the essence of creativity and inspiration, where it was in a box that said 20, 30, 40 years ago, whatever, you can't make any money being an artist unless you're going to be the starring celebrity in the, hit blockbuster movie, or the top singer. You really aren't going to do well. So get yourself into something that you don't like. But now I think it's all shifting, and this essence of creativity and expression, however it comes out, is just blossoming in so many ways.
Right. And I think on some level the celebrities are helping, because you have Jim Carrey, who just did this incredible video about how he's painting from the heart. And here's, that wasn't his, gift. You didn't know he painted, but he's self-taught and he's painting. You've got Tony Bennett, who's, 90 years old and painting prolifically. So there's a lot of people who are using its multiple modalities to express themselves. And creative expression is not necessarily, and I want to say that, about being an artist. It is about self-expression. It is about how you think, how you do other things in the world. You can be creative in the way you parent, the way you handle a budget at work, or have a conversation with, that's uncomfortable with someone. Creativity is more than being an artist. However, today we're more focused on using that art, that actual creative expression, to heal.
And that's a great point, because I was the kid that got only the average in art class. So I had defined myself as not an artist for so long. And even though my kids would say, Mom, you could do these things. It wasn't until earlier this year, it was Natalie Bedard at Visionary Business School. Then we were talking back and forth, and I realized, oh my gosh, everything in my life, as just to say, it's been out of the box, it's been I've been creating my life. And wow, that's my masterpiece versus just one painting on the wall. So then I started to embrace, I'm so creative. We can have a global party.
That's right. And creativity is that. It's like, I believe that we are of the creator, so therefore we're all creative. And when we have that and we allow it to flow through us, instead of stopping it, being scared of it, saying, I'm not good enough, I'm not smart enough, I'm not original enough, that stops us. But if we allow that flow, and it's like we are here to express the joy of life, and and as well as the pain, because there is a place to share the pain so that people can heal, that people have opportunities to hear what other people have been through so they know they're not alone, that we shine the light on difficult subjects. So there is a pain place and a joy place.
And you and I both are in this joy place now because we went through so much pain.
So much crap. Yeah. To get to the other side. That's right. We each had our own journey, and that's what it's about. And I think if we start looking at creativity as a process, not a product, that it changes everything. And art, which we talked about before, for me, art is, I'm going to go slow because the last time I spoke too fast. A is for awareness. To begin with, where is your pain? What does it look like and feel like in your body? It is acknowledging your gifts, your talents, your beauty from the inside out. It is also acknowledging, what are your core values? I love it. Absolutely, Diane. Yes, I'm glad you're seeing that and you can agree with us. It is about that. And so the art is about reframing those stories of I'm not good enough, I can't, and we directing our thoughts to something better. And I believe so much of that is through gratitude and through forgiveness. Those are the two biggies. And how do we do that? And then the last piece of art is T is for transformation and transcendence. And that is when we express ourselves fully, we share those stories in service to the rest of the world.
Wow, that's just so beautiful, Ray. Like, really, you have taken art, not only that it is that creative force that helped you heal your heart, but it's now an acronym for the fact that creativity does the healing.
It is. And one of the, and I guess, I don't know if you want to talk about, why I do what I do at this point and how I got here, or should we just go with the flow? Because I have an idea. I'd love to spend a moment doing a simple little meditation. And if people have a paper and pencil and a crayon, that would be great.
All right, let's go for that. Impromptu drawing.
Well, yes. And this will be very much like the work we're going to do when we follow up with this call. So, okay. We have those 7 weeks coming up, and we'll do things like this. So I'd love for you to close your eyes for a moment, put your hand on your heart, sink into your heart, breathe into it. Just take a moment and feel what's going on. Can you feel the bump, a bump? That's what my little granddaughter calls it when she feels it. What are you hearing? What are you seeing? Is there a little bit of a wound? We're not going in deep here today. Is there just a little something that aggravates you, that upsets you, that you can just notice? What is that? What is that feeling today? Where are you with that? Maybe your computer didn't work well this morning, or you're running late, or how does that feel in your body? Where is that tension? Because we're paying attention to what's going on and noticing. So think about something, just a little annoyance today that may have been, the nanny didn't show up on time, work's stressful, whatever it is. Where is it in your body? What color or shape does it have? Notice the texture.
Are we supposed to write anything down yet?
Not yet. Now I want you to have this image in your mind and open your eyes. And now I want you to scribble it on a piece of paper. Scribble it, notice it, write about it, whatever it is. Pen's not working. Okay, a little annoying. I grabbed something that I have. This is one of my journals started in 2014. I always tell people to get a big journal, about 9 by 12, so they have times. And so this was a scribble and doodle. I was noticing that my lower back was hurting. And so I wrote, I don't feel supported. My lower back hurts. And wouldn't that feel better to surrender it all to spirit? So this was reach for a better thought, let go, let God. And so that's what I did. And we're not talking about being a great artist. It's scribbles and doodles and a little bit of writing, a little bit of journaling. So this is one thing you can do anytime you get anxious at work, and maybe it'll help you calm yourself. It'll help you notice what you're noticing. Just a little exercise to take with you, because I think that we all need those little things to take with us for those moments that are stressful.
Yeah, and I think it's important for people to realize that just as we breathe in oxygen, we're releasing carbon dioxide. So we're always taking in things and releasing them. But if you're not releasing the things that are bothering you or that you're struggling with, they're just becoming compounded and you're slowing down. It's affecting your body, your mind, your whole sense of being. So scribbling, writing, releasing, create, it's this art of getting it out, but in the sense you are now also creating something that
you're creating possibilities, space, something new can come in. Now, our bodies retain cellular memory. We hold on to trauma. It's called somatic response. This was one of the ways I learned to heal, to let go of my wounds, was just I had to get it out of me. And, it's like, because I had been sexually abused as a kid, for from age 7 to 13 by my grandfather, and he was an artist. So art was always a double-edged sword. I loved it, but I was also like, oh. And but I had gone through this, I'd gone through many, many years of talk therapy, and God bless these therapists who got me to a place of, I was strong enough to get married, have kids, but I was never thriving. I was just still surviving. And so I went through this dark night of the soul. I'm so depressed. I was laying in bed for like 6 months. Every day I get my kids off to school, I crawl up in fetal position. And we lived on the train tracks. And all I could think about is, I want to end this pain. I want to walk on the train tracks and be done. And so one day I made a list of what is it, why should I die and why should I live? The why side was die long, all these victim mode, everything that had ever gone wrong in my life, and look at this, and oh my God, nothing ever changes. And, and then on the flip side was my kids. Like, I would never want to put them through that pain. So I made a decision to heal. And a decision is wonderful, but you have to choose it every day and take action. And I think that's what a lot of people don't realize. It takes action. You can't just say, I'm going to do something, or have a vision for something without taking action. And so I became a self-help junkie, as I called it. I traveled the world to see all the healers. This was in the mid-'80s, ended in the late 80s. So, a lot of the healers were Joan Boroshenko, Larry Dossi, who did work in prayer, Gene Shinabola. Those were the big names at that point. And I traveled the world to hear them, to be all over. And so I got all these books, and I started writing, answering every question in the book, the journaling. That became part of it. Then I did find a therapist who said, I want you to start drawing. I said, there is no way. I hadn't drawn anything in 12 years. I had left art behind because in college, I had a professor. I was in an oil painting class. And let me tell you, I love to be an artist. I'm an artist, an author, and I have, and a coach, and I have multiple gifts. But I shut that down, just like I shut down the singing, because he told me I was a terrible artist. Get out of my class. And I did. I walked away and changed my major to art history rather than, I didn't know any better. I was having flashbacks, turpentine, oil paint, but I didn't know at that time. I didn't have those skill sets and that knowledge. And so this woman said, you have to do something. And I said, And I fought her tooth and nail. And that's when I started with scribbles and doodles. I said, okay, I can get out a box of crayons. And I got black. And I'm going, I am angry. And I'm like, do I feel better? I released some of that energy that was stuck in my body. And it just started to be the beginning of using art for healing. For me, then I searched and researched, and I went to all these conferences with the International Expressive Arts community. I tried all different things for healing. One of them was very strange at the time for me. It was like, this is body casting with plaster, okay? And so we partnered off, and this woman here is a stranger asking me to make a cast of her breast, but she wanted to heal the pain in her breast. And I'm like, okay, I can do this. It was a little weird. Mine was, I created a neck and shoulder, because that's where I carried all my pain and my tension, and it became this collar of constriction. And it was like, okay, and I had to break it, it was like, okay, I created this piece and I decorated it beautifully. And then I said, you know what, it needs to be destroyed because I don't want to be constricted anymore. So there were lots of different techniques I've tried over the years and tools that I didn't even think about this last time we talked. I'm like, where is all this coming from? I spent a lot of time in prayer before we got on this morning. I said, let me be a conduit of your words and ideas. So God is asking me to share these ideas with people. So
it's beautiful. This is what I love about it, because I say, I'm just the tool. This is Source's events. This is God's event. And as we're open, we are just pouring out what needs to be heard here live or on recording or whatever. And we're sending these vibrational healing waves all around the planet. And that's what it is. That's what we're creating.
Right. I love the idea of what you're doing, because people need to heal from the inside out. I truly believe that when we embrace our own beauty, our own magnificence, our own brilliance, our love, that gets translated into every person we meet. So we are love, and we share that with our family, with our friends, with the general community, and that's how we have this ripple effect that we create out into the world, that we are change agents. We are how the world is going to be full of beauty and grace and love and peace.
And I see that. I see that opening up everywhere. That the what other people would think is the news, I see is just the garbage that is being cleaned up. Like it's already passé from my perspective, because people are just awakening, and that's my intention, that every hearts are just like dominoes all around the planet. And they're all going, yeah. Because when you actually talk to one person, one-on-one, they all want to be happy. They all want to have joy. They all want to just be taken care of. They really don't want to have this, huge abundance of storehouse of things they're not using. They want to be of service, right? And they want to be whatever their being of happiness is. And this is what I believe that, you're sharing how it works with healing and art, and someone else will share about how it was just the music. And everybody has a different way. Right. And it's okay.
It is. Everything is okay. I mean, we have to give ourselves permission to play, explore, and experiment. So it in all the realms, because we don't even know. So many of us have been shut down because, unfortunately, in the school systems, I don't know what Canada is like, but here in the United States, the arts have become and first thing out, and so we don't use that as the tool that it is meant to be, because it is a tool that will open us up to everything and can be incorporated in everything, and gives you, our imagination is a gift we're all born with, as children. And what happens is, in the school system, it's stop drawing up, stop daydreaming, don't draw outside the lines, cows aren't purple, and all of a sudden you start shrinking, and we don't use our imagination. How many of the kids in the world, if we still encourage them to use our imagination, they could think up new ideas, new solutions, new, to the problems that are going on. They could create in the schools systems that operate not out of fear and bullying. That shouldn't be where we spend all our time, is talking about that, because we've changed that, and so I hope that, the work that I'm doing and with you and as we go forward is about creating more opportunities for people to dive back into their imagination. I spent a lot of time teaching about how do you do that, what is your imagination? It's like, oh, well, I don't have one. I can't dream. And, I'm just not very creative. And, it goes on and on and on. But we all have that facility to imagine. And so I always have people start thinking about further out, because right now it seems a little scary. Oh, well, in a year, well, I can't think. But if you could have your dream life in 3 years, 5 years, what would that look like? What would the world look like? And so I spent a lot of time working with people on writing their vision out, and also creating visuals to go with it. I did bring something to just show you, because I have a notebook with all my visions for the last 3 years tucked in here.
Awesome.
And so one of them is, I want to be a speaker at the UN. So I created this little photo of me on Time magazine. So, it's like, I don't know how yet. It's just a get. But it spends time, and so I put them together, and it was interesting. Over the last few weeks, I've started rereading my visions from several years ago, and it's like, ooh, check that off, check that off, check that off. And it's very, very wonderful and exciting to see that and know that it helps provide a framework. It creates stepping stones, because you can get a blueprint of where you need to go, where you're starting, where you want to go, and what's the bridge look like? What are the stepping stones over that bridge to get where you want to go?
Yeah, because you're saying it's about action.
It's about action.
Because whether it's that you open up and say, what am I supposed to do, and trust your guidance, or you follow a to-do, you have goals that you set there, you still have to take action.
Right, and sometimes the action is very small. It could be writing, it's not small to write a vision, but if you read that vision every day, and then you did make, obviously I'm a visual, so I spend a lot of time doing the visual stuff. So recently I did a prosperity tree, and I drew it, and here it is, and it's just a simple drawing in my notebook, but it was like a step. I needed to do that. And okay, so in my prosperity tree, where am I going to use the funds I'm generating, and how am I going to make a difference? And the roots were my core values. So this is what I love to share with people. It's not about being an artist. It is just about taking those steps that will get you to what your brilliance is. What are your gifts? Because when you are fully expressed, you just glow, and you just, you are love in action.
Another tweetable, love in action, feel heart.
Yay, that's a good one. I like that.
Well, when you were saying about the differences in the school system here in Canada, we're fairly the traditional school system is fairly rigid still. And I was fortunate that I got inner guidance to take my kids to the Waldorf school. And they are like a spiritual school that everybody else would say, oh, that's just an art school. But the idea is you're a spiritual being having a human experience. So when they have the kindergarten, the kids, it's the teachers that take this painting, right? And it's sort of, what would be considered abstract. They just the teacher starts to paint, and the kids get their little watercolors, and they just sort of mimic the teacher. And they create these beautiful paintings that most of it, we still have them hung in different places, my parents, because it's the old story of when they go, well, my kid could created that, right? When you compare it to some of the artists. And for me, growing up being traditional and competitive and in the sports, all I knew is that I felt like my inner guidance was saying they needed to be rooted in the creative arts, and that's both of them they were allowed to blossom in that way. And then I eventually moved them from the Waldorf school even and just unschooled them entirely at home. So they were really allowed to sing while they were doing things and just be present to whatever inspired them.
Oh, I love that. That is wonderful. Yeah. So, yeah, if more parents could embrace that philosophy, again, it would change so much, our children, I feel like so much, we can do for our children that we don't even realize, and one of the things that I recommend to parents, especially, where everybody's tweeting, it breaks my heart when you go out to dinner and everybody's on a phone, nobody's looking at each other. No one's having a conversation, that if you took 10 minutes every night to just draw with your kids, dream, imagine with them, what's their day going to be like tomorrow? Or what are you grateful for? And you can create a gratitude journal with them, and you each put something in every night. Something like that changes the dynamic of parent and child. It teaches compassion. It teaches attention and intention. And we can do something very different. And it's 10 minutes. We're not talking about, hours of this, but we need to be able to do that.
Because it was my experience that it was part of my own growth process, right? To let go of the old ways, the ancestral ways of parenting. And although I was making new decisions all along about my kids, there was still this, but this is how I was kind of brought up at different areas. You know how when you hear your mother talk or your father talk?
Oh, yeah. I let go of that voice, yeah.
And it was just my children finally in the last couple of years saying, because they're now 22 and almost 18, saying, we do not know about whatever you say. Well, everybody else feels like this. They go, could you please stop talking about how everybody else is or what they seem to think, because we don't know that world. And I finally, it dropped because I grew up in that world. And then I was embracing this, but it was still me that had to let go. And because they were already on their own path and saying, I'm not doing anything normal. I don't know what normal is because it's not normal.
Yeah. Well, I can't say that in my family. My kids called me the woo-woo mom, because I would talk about things, I'd bring in tarot cards and we had the Ouija board, all those kind of things. And they thought I was just a little woo-woo and silly. And yet there are moments when, at least with my daughter now that she gets it, there was something I said, part of the challenge was I didn't understand there were all these different ways to, you know, the different forms of intelligence and connecting and the learning. And so I kept telling them, visualize. And well, neither one of my kids are visual in that sense. My daughter's much more kinesthetic, and she needed a combination of things, hear, see, do. You know, my son's very auditory, and I'm like, oh, no wonder they thought I was a little weird. You know, I didn't know that at the time when I'm trying to get them to think about, you know, other ways of presenting material. I mean, everything's learning for yourself and for others. And, you know, so it's interesting.
And when we look at it, and I think this is where I see the word journey now in so many different scopes of how to explain. It's no longer the destination. It's no longer the goal. I'm just setting that goal and I'm going to achieve it. It's the journey, whether you're the journey releasing the journey to your spirit, it's the journey that you're on, because that's what life is. Life is a journey, and you have some peaks, you have some valleys, you have some plateaus, but you have lots of fun along the way if you allow yourself to be participating and creating what you love to be in and do.
Right. And it is. It's interesting that you use the word journey, because I started my website, Winning Adventure, because I looked at life as an adventure, and it was about the journey. It had nothing to do with the destination, but who did I become in the process? What did I learn? What skills and gifts could I give to somebody else? You know, what was my purpose here on earth? You know, what is my calling? And that was the process, and that is the winning adventure, when you can tap into that and know, who am I? Why am I here? Who am I here to serve? How am I going to make a difference? And I think it's a shift in philosophy. You know, I do some coaching, but my SMART goals are slightly different than the traditional ones. You know, they're specific and measurable, because you can't, you know, if you don't tell me, you know, something, you know, I'm not going to be able to measure it. But the A, there's two A's in this, you know, it's is it achievable? You know, so I don't want somebody so out there. So it's more like it's actionable. You know, can you take an action, you know, today? And also, is it a little bit, I'm drawing a blank on the word, but the second A is it's about being out there a little bit further. Is it not achievable, but is it, I'm drawing a blank. Oh, well. But and then it's about your reason why, and then the T is the time, you know. So I ask people to, you know, the second A is about a stretch, and I just can't think of the word for it. Sometimes that happens. So, you know, is it actionable? Is it a stretch for you? You know, those kind of things, because I think we need to take that into account. So, but we take baby steps. Everything is a baby step toward whatever your vision and dream for yourself, because we have to, you know. I know for me, healing, and I don't know what you know, when you were healing from, you know, as well, I had to have a vision outside of myself, because at the time I didn't have any idea what life could look like. So I started with a visual diary, and I just started collecting pictures of things that made me happy, things that made me smile, things I might want, because I had no words and I could not think beyond the pain. Going back to what we started with, you know, how do you heal your heart? You know, whatever trauma or wound you're carrying around, you know, so it may be a relationship. Somebody stomped on your heart, you know, they left you, they abandoned you, they rejected you. So what would a healthy, whole, loving relationship look like? You can collect pictures of that. And just start there. They don't have to be any words yet, just images of what would love look like to you. There's another song, you know, Karen Drucker has, What Would Love Do? You know, and so I love that. And I use that a lot in my work too. What would love do? What would love look like? What would it feel like to you? And so if you start creating all these images, then you can start writing it out. And then you have created an intention that you can then, you know, work with and towards.
This is so much good stuff here, Ray. It's like we're speaking so fast and trying to cram it all in this time. And so thankfully, we're going to like have an extended conversation here, aren't we? We're going to get together a few times a month.
Yep.
And carry on a dialogue. So,
and I want people to, it's going to be interactive if we can, because I'm going to give a little bit of assignment. So I'd love to spend a little time. So there may be a meditation, there may be a little writing assignment as we go forward. So we'll send a list if people are interested of materials, but it is a notebook, crayons, it can be glitter pens, it can be whatever rocks your world, so that you are right there with us, and we're going to do a few little things together.
And they can get a hold of you now, too, by going to thewinningadventure.com, right?
Right.
And you also have, that's my turn to escape. I was going to say, it's a visionary exercise, is it?
Oh, I have, it's a visionary guide to visioning. So if we started generally talk about these things today. Since I wrote it, it's changed a little because my SMART goals have changed. I talk about it there, but that was more traditional, and I sort of played with it and enhanced it. But it talks about, there's a passion inventory in there, a snapshot in time, so you can really start and notice. We go back to that awareness. Where are you today? So do the snapshot in time. This will take you on a journey. Look at the passion inventory. I'll start answering some of those questions about who am I? Why am I here? What will bring me joy? Those kind of things. And then I give a sample of how you can write a vision for yourself. So that's my free gift. And it is on the first page of The Winning Adventure. I also have a separate link, which I'll put down, on later, and that you can get access to it. So, and I'm looking forward to spending several weeks going through some of these activities and ideas, because obviously we feed off of each other, and this conversation is nothing like our original conversation. So you've already got two calls in one. Listen to the one we did last week and this one. So it's going to be fabulous, because you and I have this energy level that we can play off of each other and feed off of each other. And we're going to create something so dynamic and powerful that it is going to create the healed heart in those who want to take that chance with us.
Yeah, and I'm excited because, we're doing this is the equinox, right? So this is not exactly, but when day and night are equal all around the earth, so we're bringing this together. So whether, you're talking about you're going into the fall season or it's the spring season, it's a shift. And so what we're talking about is doing, every couple weeks, not, every week, but from now until sort of December solstice, there is going to be progress. So imagine that you are either releasing because you're being the seed planted in the ground in the spring, and you're going to bust out of the seed and you're releasing all this stuff so you can sprout, or it's the opposite. It's the fall and you're now going to release all your leaves and you're going to go within and you're going to sprout for the spring in February. Whatever way you look at it, is the stuff that we're going to be doing over the next couple of months is going to really help you heal your heart.
It is, and transform you and the planet. I think that's part of, you have this global idea, and I think that it fits in so beautifully with what I want to connect creative activists. That's what I call them. The people who are using their creativity to make a difference. So I'm going to be having some free webinars, one in October called The Creative Activists. It's ordinary women who are having extraordinary impact. And I'm going to share, I've interviewed 180 people around the country so far, probably more now. And then I want to start sharing some of their stories so that you get ideas how you can take your wounds and transform them into victories and into service. I want to talk about how they are, transforming lives through advocacy, through their art, and shining a light on difficult subjects so we can all start talking about them and just creating that dynamic awareness. So this so works with what I'm doing, and I love that our connection, and I was so glad when you reached out to me.
It was time. Source said it's time for you and Ray to come together. So this has been a sheer joy, and I'm so very, very grateful that you're here. The links are above on this one, and they'll be below in the comments. Leave any comments. Go get, if you've got questions on what art supplies, we'll reiterate that. But just enjoy your day and notice what you've actually created today and what you like about it and what you don't like about it, and start to pick up that pen and scribble.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you. Mwah. I love you.
Love you too. Bye.